American U-2 spy planes have recently been photographed in building nuclear weapon sites being built on Cuba by the Soviet Union. Cuba is 227 miles from Miami, Florida, and the site is rumored to be able to launch up to 60 nuclear warheads.
President Kennedy does not want the Soviets knowing that we knew what they were doing. Since learning of the nuclear sites, Kennedy has decided to place a naval blockade around the island.
One American U-2 spy plane has been shot down over Cuba, in addition to another American U-2 plane faced an attempted attack from the Soviets after entering Soviet airspace.
Alaskan Air Defense Command responded quickly using nuclear-armed F-102 interceptors.
Kennedy plans to put 56 naval ships, including 8 aircraft carriers, around the island. The president hopes that this blockade will prevent the Soviets from bringing in more harmful military equipment.
No one is sure how Nikita Khrushchev, the Soviet leader, will respond to the naval blockade. Kennedy stresses that this is a quote-unquote quarantine, stating that international laws consider blockades to be an act of war.
Leaders will hopefully soon realize that this could possibly lead to a nuclear war and years of devastating effects. After Marilyn Monroe dies, investigators say it was a probable suicide.
At the age of only 36, Monroe had been through so much in her lifetime. After she was born, her mother, who was widowed and mentally ill, abandoned her to a sequence of foster homes.
At the age of 2, she was nearly smothered to death, and at the age of 9, she was at the LA Orphans Home and was paid a nickel a month for kitchen work.
As a 16-year-old, she worked at an aircraft plant and then married a man who went into the military. After her husband went to the military, she began modeling. However, they got a divorce in 1964.
In 1948, Monroe was featured in the movie Ladies of the Chorus, in which she sang 2 numbers. Joseph L. Mickiewicz put her in All About Eve in 1950.
Monroe married and divorced DiMaggio in 1955. However, in 1956, the press was shocked when she married playwright Arthur Miller. That fall, they went to England to make The Prince and the Showgirl.
The Prince and the Showgirl featured the actor Lawrence Oliver. Monroe, who was always fighting with him, fell further to alcohol and pills. She had 2 miscarriages due to all her drug and alcohol abuse.
She worked on her last picture, The Misfits, in 1961, which was written by her departing husband Miller. Monroe was dropped from the unfinished Something's Got to Give in 1962 due to chronic lateness and drug dependency.
The day before her death started off with threatening phone calls. Monroe's physician, Dr. Ralph Greenson, came over the following day and quoted, "I felt it was possible that when Marilyn Monroe had felt rejected by some of the people that she had been close to."
Monroe seemed fine. Pat Nucombe, who had stayed with her the night before, had to leave early that evening, which upset Monroe. Peter Lawford called her that night and invited her to dinner, but she refused. Lawford reported that her speech was slurred, as if she had been drinking.
As the night got darker and more depressing for Monroe, she locked herself in her room and overdosed. The funeral directors say that she died sometime between 9:30 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. Her maid saw a light under her bedroom door and called the police around midnight.
Her maid also phoned Dr. Ralph Greenson, who could not break the door to Monroe's room, but eventually broke in the windows, and he found Marilyn dead in bed. Marilyn Monroe will be missed.
We'll be back after a word from our sponsors. Would you like a cold pop?
Yes, I would.
Can I interest you into some ice cool and delicioso Coca-Cola?
What's that?
Only the latest and the greatest in ice cold pops.
I want to try some. Give me.
Whoa there, knuckleheads, slow your taste buds.
It's just in breaking news straight from Washington, D.C. In response to heightened nuclear anxiety and the threat of a nuclear attack, the government has created Federal Civil Defense Administration, or FCDA.
The program is designed to prepare and educate the general public in case of a nuclear attack. The National Emergency Alarm Repeater Program is being created to supplement the existing siren warning systems in the event of a nuclear attack. In addition, the supplemental sirens fallout shelters are being built to reduce mass casualties. These shelters will be built to reduce harmful gamma-ray radiation.
Walls will be built of concrete 12+ inches thick, because radiation fallout has the consistency of sand. A successful shelter does not need to filter the air. Large fans on heavy frames with flaps that swing from shelters' doorways can be swung on hinges from the shelter ceilings. will be the easiest way to control the shelter's climate. The government suggests putting shelters in basements or underground.
In the event of a nuclear attack, people sheltering in fallout shelters should plan to stay sheltered for at least 2 weeks. After the initial 2 weeks, people will be urged to go outside, starting with only 1 hour at a time, and gradually increasing as days go on. At 3 weeks after the attack, people will be urged to evacuate. Civil defense authorities say basement shelters can be built as a do-it-yourself project for $150 to $200.
These fallout shelters are an evacuation alternative. Officials have realized that evacuation plans are completely unrealistic in the event of a nuclear attack. In a nuclear attack, mass amounts of people would be required to evacuate, and most of the country would have been affected from the nuclear weapon, making evacuation not the best decision.
Shelters can be built in homes for just one family, and community shelters can be built also, reducing death rates. We'll be right back with more news after this short break. There's a new name out there hitting rock music. His name is Elvis Presley. He is 22 now, and his new song, Heartbreak Hotel, is a now #1 hit.
Elvis recently bought Graceland Ranch located in Memphis, Tennessee, from Ruth Moore for approximately $102,000. It has 23 rooms and sits on 14 acres.
Elvis doesn't only sing, he also has been in some movies. His first movie was Love Me Tender, which came out last year, and his new one stars Jailhouse Rock, which comes out this Friday.
Did you know that his natural hair is dishwater blonde, but he dyed it jet black a few months ago?
He also has a truck driver before he got into singing.
Well, that's it for that news. Let's hit our sponsors.
Do you want your kids to get out of the house more? Do you want them to stay active instead of sitting inside and playing with Barbies all day? If you answered yes to any of those questions, we've got a solution for you. The new hula hoop. Kids everywhere just can't wait to play with it after school. There are tons of different things to do with it. Let them use their imagination. Buy a hula hoop and be the best parent in the world.